I'm Susie from the FabForm Technical Support Team. Welcome to the DeskFab X1 training. During today's training, I'm not going to read the manual to you. Instead, I want to give you a clear, hands-on understanding of how this desktop metal 3D printer turns digital designs into real physical parts. The core technology behind it is laser powder bed fusion. In simple terms, it uses a laser to perform macro-level precision melting, layer by layer, sintering metal powder until your part is fully formed. Now let's take a look at the actual machine. This is our flagship model, DeskFab X1. Small body, great performance, with a forming accuracy of up to plus or minus 0.1 mm. Today's training is divided into the following sessions: printer inspection, accessories and auxiliary units, software activation, safety guidelines, the full printing process, routine maintenance, and the support service. When you receive the printer, do one thing first: a full visual inspection. Check the main unit for dents, scratches, or any signs of transit damage. Then, open and close every door on the printer. The chamber door, the powder recycling door, make sure they all move smoothly. If you spot anything unusual, don't try to fix it yourself. Just take a photo, reach out to our support team, and we will take it from there. Also, take a moment to cross-check all the included accessories against the packing list. Make sure nothing's missing before you move forward. As you can see displayed on the screen, I've put together a quick overview, all the accessory names and what each one does. One quick note: your specific accessory kit may vary slightly depending on your machine version. So if something looks a little different from what's on the screen, that's normal. We will cover the details as we go. Alright, let's move on to our next session. Here's the thing. This printer can't do the job alone. It needs three essentials to run reliably: electricity, gas, and water. So we've designed our auxiliary systems to match, one for each. Let's start with the electrical support unit, the voltage stabilizer. You will need to prepare a dedicated set of copper core cables, left, neutral, and ground, with a gauge of 1.5 square millimeters. The input voltage is 220 volts, and this supply must be dedicated to the printer. Do not connect any other equipment to it. The stabilizer plays a critical role. The SLM system demands extremely clean and stable power. Next, let's talk about the power box. On the other machine, this is often built into the frame, but for the DeskFab X1, we made it a standalone unit, primarily to keep the main system lightweight. This box is the power and control hub for the entire machine. One button turns everything on or off. And it's not just about convenience, it also gives you 3 layers of protection: overload, short circuit, and emergency stop. So if anything goes wrong, the system cuts the power instantly, keeping both the machine and the operator safe. Think about this. When the printer runs continuously for over 10 hours, the laser stays active the whole time, and the temperature inside keeps climbing. Without proper temperature control, your print accuracy will drift over time. The industrial chiller continuously cools both the laser and the galvanometer, which locks in part accuracy and the density, while supporting stable, long-duration production. A quick but important reminder here: pay attention to the water tube connections. The printer's red tube is the outlet that connects to the chiller's inlet. The printer's blue tube is the inlet that connects to the chiller's outlet. Swap them, and the flow direction reverses, which means the chiller can't actually cool the laser properly. So keep any heat-generating equipment away from the chiller. For example, air compressor, heat treatment furnace, and drying ovens. Next, we're going to fill the chiller with water, about 6 liters. As you pour, keep an eye on the water level. You want it to sit above the internal fitting connections. That's the minimum level for proper circulation. Now that we've covered the water circuit, let's move to the third support system, the gas circuit. It includes two auxiliary units, an air compressor and the nitrogen generator. The air compressor supplies compressed air to the nitrogen generator. The generator then separates the high-purity nitrogen from the air, and it does two things. First, it feeds the nitrogen continuously into the chamber to keep oxygen level below the safety threshold, preventing oxidation during printing. Second, it powers the automatic filter blowback system, which cleans the filters and keeps the gas circulation path clean. If you don't have a nitrogen generator, you will need to supply inert gas through a gas cylinder with a pressure regulator instead. One critical point here: when printing titanium alloys or any titanium-containing powders, nitrogen is strictly prohibited. You must switch to argon as your shielding gas. All auxiliary units here are now fully connected. If you need the complete step-by-step setup guide, scan the QR code on the screen for the full tutorials. Also, when installing the system, make sure to leave enough space around the printer. You will want easy access for opening doors and performing the routine maintenance. Alright, let's move on to software activation today. We have two core software programs for this system. The first one is DeskFab, or machine control software, which runs on the equipment touchscreen. The second one is FastLayer, the pre-processing slicing software for model data preparation. Both of these two software tools require activation before their first time use. First, let's take a look at FastLayer. We will start from install the software. Open the installer package, run it, and follow the prompt step by step. One quick note: if you are installing on the C drive, make sure the path is under C drive, the users folder, and the publics folder. Once installed, the software needs to be activated. When you open it for the first time, you will see an activation prompt. Screenshot the QR code shown and send it to our customer service team. They'll send you an activation key in return. Copy it and click From Paste. You are all set. Now, open the software and import a pre-configured parameter file. The extension is .mpf. After that, select Platform tab 100, and the interface will switch to the X1 platform layout. Next, we will move on to the DeskFab. First, power on the printer and connect it to the network. Then, open the software and log in the user account. No password required. Once you are logged in, you will see a QR code on the screen. Take a photo of that QR code and send it to your sales representative. We will activate on our side and let you know when it's done. At that point, all you need to do is click the clock button in the software, and activation is complete. That's the clock activation method. If your printer can't connect to the internet, no problem. Just scan the QR code on the screen for the offline activation instructions. Now we're moving into the printing phase. I'm going to walk you through step by step, from a design file on your screen to a real solid model part in your hand. Before we start operating the machine, I need to go over some important safety items. Blendle 3D printing comes with a few inherent risks: desk explosion, powder inhalation, laser burns, and inert gas asphyxiation, etc. To make sure everyone stays safe, please complete the following preparations before you start your first print. First, operators must wear proper protective gear at all times. Anti-static clothing, safety goggles, have this particular respirator, nitrile gloves, and anti-static footwear. Also, keep a Class D fire extinguisher in the printing room. It's your first line of defense in case of an emergency. Make sure the room is well ventilated. And one hard rule, no open flames of any kind are allowed in the printing room. Next, we will go through the full printing workflow. To make the whole process easier to follow, I will break it down into 4 phases: pre-printing, equipment setup, printing operation, and post-processing. We will cover post-processing separately in later video, so today we are going to focus on the first 3. First, let's start with pre-printing preparation. Today we will only walk through a basic slicing operation using a standard test model. Let's get started. Open an STL model. Rotate the wheel to check the model placement position. Click Slice. Choose the right parameters. Then click Execute to run the slicing. Once it's done, you can drag the layer slider to reveal each layer and check the laser path. When you are satisfied, click Export and save it to your USB drive. Finally, open the USB drive. You will see 2 files. One is a project file with a .pjf extension, and the other is a slicing file with a .scan extension. That second one is a file you will actually load into the printer to run your print. Next, we move into the equipment setup phase. There are a few steps to complete in sequence. Add powder to the printer. Turn on the water chiller. Start the nitrogen generator. Clean the lens. Then install the base platform and the scraper. The powder fill port on the X1 is at the top of the machine. Carefully remove the clamp and use a funnel to get the powder in. For the first run, you can add 5 liters of powder initially. Make sure the powder you add has been saved, dried, and cooled. Only qualified powder should go in. Never mix powders of different materials or different batches. Doing so can cause porosity, composition deviation, or even clog the system. And once you're done, don't forget to secure the clamp back in place. With the printer already powered on, double press the chiller switch to start it. The default temperature is set to 25 degrees Celsius. Just leave it at that. Once running, the chiller will start circulating water through the printer. The water level may drop slightly, which could trigger a low-level alarm. If that happens, simply top it up with deionized water until the level reaches the fitting connection. Next, turn on the air compressor and the nitrogen generator. After startup, the generator will run a 60-second warm-up countdown. Once that's done, open the nitrogen outlet tool valve and adjust the flow float to position 4. Now, watch the purity reading on the generator's display. You will see the nitrogen concentration climbing. That tells you the unit is actively producing nitrogen. Once the purity reaches 99.90%, you're ready to start supplying nitrogen to the printer. One quick note, the first time you run the generator, it may take a little longer to reach the purity level. That's completely normal, and we can use that waiting time to complete the rest of the setup, like lens cleaning. Take one lens wipe from the accessory kit and fold it diagonally a few times until you have a flat, clean surface on top. Add a small amount of 95% alcohol. Then gently wipe the protective lens in a clockwise direction. And make this a habit. You will need to do this before every single print. Next, we will install the base platform. Lower the base platform first, then adjust the heat to 1 mm. You will need a dowel gauge and the leveling fixture. Assemble them first. Place the assemble tool at the very front of the build chamber and zero it out. Then move it to the center of the platform. Use the up or down buttons in DeskFab to adjust the heat until the dowel gauge reads 1 mm. Next, let's install the scraper. First, disable the P-axis enable and pull the scraper mount all the way to the front. Secure the scraper loosely with the screws. Don't worry about position yet. Then grab the scraper alignment block to help with positioning. Press the scraper blade firmly against the fixture and tighten the screws. After installation, it's important to verify that the scraper is properly in place. Start by moving the scraper back to the powder position and let powder drop for about 5 to 10 seconds. Then run the scraper across the base platform once. Now check the powder layer. If it's even and constant in thickness, you're good to go. Now let's check the nitrogen generator. The purity has reached 99.90%. At this point, remember to close the black valve on the generator. We can open the printer's inlet valve and the nitrogen valve to let the gas in. Before you do, make sure the printer is fully sealed. That means the chamber door must be closed and all butterfly valves are in locked position. As the nitrogen keeps flowing into the chamber, the oxygen level will gradually drop. Once it falls to around 1.7%, the fine icon will start blinking. That's your signal to turn it on. Go ahead and activate the fan. One thing to keep in mind, for the first print, the oxygen level may bounce back up a few times. That's normal. Just be patient and let it stabilize. Once the oxygen level drops to 0.3%, we're good to go. Now you can transfer your file from the USB drive to the printer. Plug in the USB and copy your sliced file over to the E drive, print data. Go back to DeskFab and open the Project tab. In the file list, you will see everything on the E drive. Find your file and hit load. Then select SLM print. Just follow the on-screen promote step by step and you are ready to start printing. Now we can see the printer has started printing. At this point, our main job is to observe. Watch the chamber. If you see heavy black smoke, the airflow is too low. If powder is being blown around, it's too high. We need to adjust the airflow knob accordingly. Once printing is complete, open the chamber door. The part is now centered onto the base platform. First, install the two side shells, then raise the base platform. Clear out any remaining metal powder from the chamber. Sweep it into the powder recycling bin with a brush. This powder can be reused. After each print, we recommend emptying the recycling bin. The recovered powder needs to go through 3 steps before reusing: sieving, drying, and cooling. For continuously printing, sieving alone is usually sufficient. If there's a longer gap between prints, we recommend adding a drying step to remove any moisture that may have been absorbed. Once processed, you can add it back into the powder tank. One more thing, if you're not printing for an extended period, we don't recommend leaving powder in the tank for long-term storage. At this point, we can power down the machine. When shutting down, Run the software shutdown sequence first, then press the physical power off button on the power box. At this stage, we can move on to the post-processing. We will explain post-processing in detail in a dedicated video, so we won't elaborate further today. Next, let's talk about routine maintenance. Let me give you a few tips. First, if you are printing daily, perform a flowback every 2 to 3 days to clean the filter. After the flowback, make sure to empty both the cyclone separator dustbin and the filter dustbin. Important safety note: the metal condensate is flammable. Wear fire-resistant protective gear when emptying it. And the condensate should be poured into silicone oil before disposal. Second, after reusing metal powder multiple times, you will need to add fresh powder to maintain print quality. For exact ratio, please consult your powder supplier. Third, drain the air compressor twice a week. If you are in a high humidity environment, adjust the frequency accordingly. Drain more often as needed. Fourth, replace the deionized water in the chiller every 6 months. And clean the chiller filter screen once a month. Fifth, when the scraper is spreading powder, if you notice scratches on the powder surface like the ones shown here, it's time to replace the scraper strip. Before each print, the base platform needs proper surface preparation. Remove any oxidation layer and make sure it's flat. Only then is it ready for reuse. At this point, I'm confident that you have a solid understanding of our printer. If you run into any issue during use, please don't hesitate to reach out to our support team. We're here to help. Now, how can you get the fastest, most effective support? For print failures, please provide the .pjf project file, along with photos showing the failed print. For equipment issues, please send us the printer serial number and include short videos, photos that clear showing the problem. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you so much for your time and attention. For more operation videos and tips, be sure to check out our FastForm Support YouTube channel. Wishing you all successful prints, and we will see you next time.